Hey guys, Marcy Fazio with Fazio Law here, and we are talking about expungements today. This is video 3. I'm going to have 4 different videos talking about expungements. So the first video talked about the basic expungement and the requirements to be eligible for a basic expungement. And then I also have what I call a super expungement that's more complicated, but it's more thorough in erasing and sealing your record. So there are 15 different categories where you could be eligible potentially for a super expungement. So video 1 talked about the basic expungement. Video 2 goes into the first 5 ways that you can be eligible for the super expungement. I basically just broke up the 15 ways that you can be eligible for a super expungement into 3 separate videos, so it's not too much information all at once. So now I'm going to go through the next 5 ways that you could be eligible for a super expungement. And remember, just because you're eligible doesn't mean it's necessarily going to be granted. It doesn't mean a judge will order it. It just means you're eligible to request it, and a judge could issue the order of expungement if he or she chooses to do so. And one more disclaimer. This is just an overview of the 15 different categories. There are more details and nuances involved, but I don't want to make this video 10 hours long. So I'm just kind of going to a broad overview of those categories. So let's talk about categories 6 through 10 of whether or not you could be eligible for a super expungement. So category number 6 where you could be eligible for a super expungement is if you were under the age of 18 and at the time of the offense, and then you received a full pardon. Number 7 is you were charged with a misdemeanor. So there are 2 different types of crimes in Oklahoma. There are misdemeanors and there are felonies. So if you were charged with a misdemeanor or a felony, but then the charges were dismissed. So unfortunately, sometimes people get arrested and charged with a crime, but then for whatever reason, the charges get dismissed. I say unfortunately because it sucks to get charged with an offense, especially if you didn't do it. But it's better, of course, if that comes to light that you didn't do it and the charges get dismissed. So this does not apply to a deferred sentence. I'll talk about that category in just a minute. But just to be clear, number 7, the 7th way that you can be eligible for an expungement is if you are charged with a misdemeanor or a felony and the charges are dismissed, but that one does not apply to a deferred sentence. So in that situation, you would be eligible for a super expungement. The deferred sentence comes into play with, I skipped one. Category number 8, if you're charged with a misdemeanor. So yeah, the deferred sentence comes into play with category 8 and 9 that I'm going to talk to you about right now. So category 8, if you are charged with a misdemeanor and then you get a deferred sentence and the charge is dismissed after the completion of the deferred sentence. So a deferred sentence basically means you do a period of probation and then the charge is dismissed. So it's different than an upfront dismissal. You have to do the period of probation first. So the 8th way you can be eligible, you're charged with a misdemeanor, you get a deferred sentence, you complete that deferred sentence and the charge gets dismissed, and then you have to wait 1 year. 1 year has to pass to be eligible. Again, there's a little bit more nuance and details and conditions, but that gives you kind of the overview. The 9th way is similar to the 8th, but number 8 applied to a misdemeanor. Number 9 applies to a felony. So number 9 is if you are charged with a non-violent felony offense. So this wouldn't apply, obviously, if you were charged with a violent offense. And in the Oklahoma statute, section 571, there's a list of all the charges that are classified as violent. So that determination has been made, what charges are considered violent. And again, not going to go into all of that or this video would be 10 hours long. But if you are charged with a non-violent felony offense and then you receive a deferred sentence, at the end of the deferred sentence, the charge is dismissed, then you have to wait 5 years. So in the misdemeanor, you have to wait 1 year. The felony, you have to wait 5 years. And again, a few other conditions, but that's the big picture. So after the deferred sentence expires, you can have it dismissed, and then 5 years later, you can have the full expungement. Okay, one more type for this video, and then we'll take a break. The 10th category or 10th mechanism of how you can be eligible for a super expungement is if you are convicted of a misdemeanor and sentenced to a fine only, and the fine is $500 or less. Again, convicted of a misdemeanor, but your sentence is fine only. So no jail time, no probation, just a fine, and the fine is $500 or less. In that situation, if that happens, then as soon as you pay off your fines and all your costs, you're eligible for the super expungement. So covering a lot of stuff here, and I know it's kind of deep, so obviously you can watch this video again and kind of unpack that and see if it applies to your situation, if you think you might be eligible, or if you have any questions, feel free to email us or find us online on Facebook or give us a call and we'll help you out with that. All right, we've got 5 more mechanisms to cover and we'll do that in the next video. See you there.